FedEx full, we command in the block. Burgundy and gold, got the city on lock. Hustling plays, they don't need to pretend. DC reppin' strong and we fight to the end. Command is moving, no breaks, no pause. Hands in the dirt, respecting the call. K-Dot and the myth, dissect the grind. District divider with a city in mind. Join the damn squad, don't miss a bit. And you gotta spread the words, so shit is shit. K-Dot.
Welcome, everyone, to District Divide, a DC sports podcast. More specifically, a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. This episode, we're playing the 6-2 Pittsburgh Steelers. We host them at our place. Huge game coming up this Sunday at 1 p.m. Going to be great. We're going to preview that matchup for you, give the predictions as we always do, jump into the comment mailbag, a loaded comment mailbag for you guys, do it after the pod, but we begin with the All-22 review, of course. But before we begin this episode, if you could please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot.
Don't take it personally that screaming vote into a podcast microphone means that your election outcome will be what you want it to be. And then share that shit!
Share this shit. Greatly appreciate it.
It's over, guys. It's over. The country's fucking over.
It's all over. It's all over.
This. We'll still last through Armageddon. We're here.
As long as we're here, we'll keep this going. So why don't we go ahead and get into it? And it's the All-22 review with our very own K-Dot.
It's the All-22 review on District Divided. Bitches! Lovely introduction as always over there. And as you guys know, for this All-22 review, which is again, it was the 27-22 road victory against the New York Giants, sweeping the New York Giants this past season. K-Dot doesn't use 50 screens for this. He doesn't use 60 screens for this. He uses 70 screens for this bad boy right here. And so while everybody else was watching the election, what's going on here? What's going on there? No, K-Dot was dialed in. Okay. And he was going, what is Jayden Daniels doing right? What is his offense doing right? What's his defense doing right? What are they doing wrong? And now he's just going to break it all down for you. So K-Dot, over to you as always, All-22 review.
Well, 30 of those screens were just election coverage.
So 100 screens with 30 on the election and 70 that are always dedicated to the All-22 review.
All right. Since we got a long-ass comment mailbag in 2 episodes and lots of comments, apparently,
that's true.
Let's get through this. So All-22 on offense. As always, we got to talk about Jayden. We're not going to spend a lot of time talking about Jayden, but he's good and still getting better. Nothing has changed as far as that goes. His ball positioning, is out of this world. Like, I know everybody probably saw the chart that was going around on Twitter as far as like tight windows and the completion percentage. Yeah, man, boy, perfect.
Ball placement's unbelievable. And if you've been listening to us, we've been saying it all offseason before he even arrived. Yeah,
there's no doubt about it. There's only one thing, if I were to be super highly critical, which I like to be, because you're watching a lot of fucking tape, is he's doing good. Remember, one of the big things is him rolling out, right? You got to roll out. I'd like to see him actually get back on platform when he rolls out. There are some more opportunities that are happening down the field. And because of his speed and elusiveness, there's a lot of space. But usually what he's doing is he's still kind of throwing off platform and he's kind of taking what the defense is giving him at those points. Every once in a while, it's a deep shot if he sees somebody like in single coverage or whatever. But there are opportunities. There are opportunities for him to set, look downfield, and actually launch the ball. And I think if he adds that just a little bit more to his game, once again, I still don't think the ceiling's there. What's up?
Can you elaborate on that point? Now, is it that he's not standing in the pocket long enough? Is he bailing from it? What are you trying to say?
No. It's literally so off platform compared to on platform. Off platform when the rollout, he's throwing on the run. I don't want him to be throwing on the run.
I see. He's setting outside of the pocket, and
I want him to set outside of the pocket when he has space and then throw.
Okay.
It's great that you can do both. I'm just saying he's got a lot of space sometimes. And he's still kind of like, all right, well, maybe somebody's right behind me, so I got to go. Dude, you're by yourself. You are by yourself.
So in those moments,
set, get straight so you can actually launch the ball the way that you need to launch the ball. So that's it. Once again, minor fucking thing. Funny. But it's going to come up a little bit in the Pittsburgh game, and I'll bring that up later. All right. So other things as far as from the offense goes, I think everybody was kind of questioning, like, what the fuck did they do to stop the Giants pass rush? We all knew that, like, coming into the game, like, these dudes were amazing at it, right? So, like, what did they do? What did they do? I got to give credit to fucking everybody as far as this goes. And the Giants, I actually have as far as the stats go, because it was kind of fucking crazy. I didn't realize, even when watching the game, how often they blitzed. The Giants defense generated only 5 team pressures and 0 sacks on 25 dropbacks, despite blitzing. What do you know what their blitz rate was?
I don't know what the blitz rate was. I saw him blitzing a lot.
60%.
Okay, wow, that's a lot higher than I was thinking.
She's like, what? I had to look it up because I was like, I'm not going to keep counting it. I had to look it up. But everyone looked good, man. As far as what Kliff was doing with a lot of the motions and things, I know everybody was like, the whole offensive line was doing a phenomenal job. And also, everybody, as far as from the backs to the tight ends to the wide receivers, are all doing an amazing job on blitz pickup or at least chipping guys. Brandon Coleman, I know that we were lauding Brandon Coleman like he had Brian Burns as far as the responsibility for a lot of the game. What I did notice watching him full time, they gave him a lot of help, no doubt. There was a lot of, if McNichols was going to go out in the flat, he makes sure he chips him before he goes out, or maybe a Sennett hits him, maybe Bates hits him. If there's a lot of chipping just to make sure that, like, hey, get him off platform just a little bit, then let Coleman go and do his thing. And by the time that maybe he gets by Coleman, he gets by Coleman, the ball's out. Too little, too fucking late. So amazing job. Brandon Coleman, his athleticism and his strength, once again, are just out of this fucking world. The only thing that you'd look at is his hand placement a lot when it came to the game. There's still a lot of technique things that he's need to figure out, right? So, like, there are times where he's too high. There are times when he doesn't know when to drop compared to bringing him up. There were some missed calls, actually. Like, there was a lot of holding that I saw. Well, not a lot, right? A few holds. And I was like, oh wow, that's a fucking flag. Or even there was literally a face mask. It wasn't just hands to the face. It was like a fucking face mask against Burns at one point. He got away with a lot. There's it's just everything I'm talking about is literally technique that he'll be able to work on, and I don't think it's going to be a problem long term. His athleticism is so much off the charts that you have to have him in the fucking game at this point. And once again, if Brian Burns and that defense didn't fucking get anywhere, why mess around with anything? But Wiley, all those guys, I gotta get absolute kudos to those guys. Also, the play action did a really good job as far as keeping the Giants defense honest, as far as not being able to get the pass rush there. Everybody off balance. All right, that's it as far as the offense goes. Now, defensively, I think big concern for everybody defensively was early on in the game. What the fuck happened with the run defense? Okay, now I think Witt was okay with it. I know it's gonna sound weird. We're not playing against the run. We're not stacking the box. Like we're like, it really did seem like when you start seeing the success of the Giants have, you're like, all right, why don't you put somebody down in the box to kind of help out? Or like, yeah, it was like, nah. Like, we're gonna keep the defense. And I gotta give him credit. I don't know if this is like a psychology. I don't know exactly what it is, but I remember I alluded to it in the last episode. Dable all of a sudden out of nowhere just starts going to play action, and nothing went well. So it's like Witt just waited him out, and Dable fucked it up.
Wow. What do you think of that strategy?
I don't know. It worked. I don't know. Maybe the analytics said, "Oh, Dable's gonna fuck this up. Just let him do it." But there are literally times in the game where you're like, "Dude, we're not playing the run. We're just not."
I know that there were times as a fan where I watched, I was like, surely they're not running again, and they would. And it was like borderline, like, they have to pass this time. They have to pass this time. It's one thing for the fans to do it. That's super interesting that Joe Witt does it. It makes me immediately think, though, K-Dot, just to be a bit critical for a moment.
Okay.
One of the critiques of the Dan Quinn defense in Dallas was they could not stop the run. Now they still can't stop it in Dallas, so maybe it's just a personnel thing. But it does worry me that maybe it's just the matchup, right? They're like, you know what, it's fine, whatever, give it up to them. But you and I were thinking, hey, if you bottle up that run, make Daniel Jones beat you instead.
I think what you're seeing is that because of the personnel, and that's going to get into the last part of my All-22, and I'm going to get there shortly, is about I watched some Marshon Lattimore tape and how it is that he's going to fit within the confines of the defense. But what's happening as far as the run, I think, is lack of experience within the system. And because of a talent deficiency, they're not able to do certain things that they want to do defensively. So if I look at this, they don't want to play too high if they don't have to. They'd much rather be able to have Chin go down the box where he's much better, right? And then play against the run. Like that would be an absolute good way to stop the run. If you had Chin drop down with a Luvu and a Wagner, that's something. They can't afford to necessarily do that. So I do think that like as time goes on and these guys get better in the defense, the cornerbacks can be trusted to make the stops, then you can do that. But yeah, it's just a combination of a lot of just but I'm telling you, I don't know. But they did not do. Dable looks stupid for having thrown an attempt in the first half. And the only reason it stopped is because we were scoring on offense. And they couldn't do it anymore.
Wow. And they only had 4 pass attempts, I want to say, in that first half in any case.
But
and you're
remember,
saying, hey, it shouldn't have even been 1.
But every time in that first half, they dropped back to throw a pass. Nothing.
Yeah, he had like 0 yards.
Nothing.
I want to say something like that
So
at the end of
it was
half.
sellout, like, we're not letting Daniel Jones beat us. Do whatever you want to do on the fucking ground. Go ahead.
Okay.
That's what it felt like. I mean, I don't know if
that's what it
want to do.
And K-Dot, that's what it looked like. So I'm glad it confirmed that. Go ahead.
Yeah, it was rough. All right, so on the Lattimore, when you watch his tape, there's one thing that stretches out to you more than any other thing, especially when you talk about this team. He communicates. Every snap, he is talking, he's pointing, he's telling guys the entire fucking time. Great shit. Great shit. And especially with this defense, and yeah, Wagner and those guys, you need another smart brain on the defense that understands what it is they need to do. Also, compared to our corners, you can just see from a talent standpoint, it's just night and day. The defense right now is being limited in the sense of, and we talked about this before the season started. I think Coach ended up having one of these questions, which was like, is the defense going to look more man or zone? We are stuck in more man than we're stuck in more zone than we want to be because we can't trust our guys to play man straight up. Lattimore is not an issue with this. I don't care if he's playing off the ball or pressing. He can do it all. And what he does better than maybe anybody else, and this is not, all right, maybe not better than anybody else, but what he does amazingly and really fits what it is that Dan Quinn and those guys like to do is he is great when they're scheming up traps for him. So if you got a situation where you like you got your outside receiver probably running a go route, right? And you got like the tight end running something in the flat. If the defensive line, which you remember in Dallas, you got Michael Parsons, you got those guys, they could get the pressure.
Yeah.
The quarterback needs to make a quick throw. What Lattimore has the ability to do in those traps is to look like he is going to be there with the go receiver, but he has no intention of doing that. He is looking for the quarterback to look for the release valve, throw it to like whoever's down in the flat, and he's taking.
So he can anticipate it. Yeah, that's great.
Anticipate it perfectly. And this is where you get where you had Diggs and those guys in Dallas breaking records as far as interceptions. That's what they did. So if you have a Lattimore on this defense with Quinn and with Witt, he's perfect for it. Now, whether or not they're going to be able to do all of those things, knowing some of the other deficiencies that you see within the defensive back group, I don't know. But because you're able to do that, you can move Sanders still to his partner to where he's better in the slot. You can have St. Juste on your lesser athletic wide receiver. Better matchups across the board. Right. So, and I don't know, maybe because they might be able to trust Lattimore, because I don't know if you even saw some of the video of him like on the practice field.
Oh, with St. Juste, yeah,
talking. So there might be a situation where if they feel as though they can trust him, maybe he's doing something different than the rest of the defense. Maybe you let him play man and the rest of the guys in zone. I think he might even have the ability to fucking do that. But as those guys start catching on, the rest of the defense gets better. This is when you can move Jeremy Chin down there. You only need one single high safety. You can kind of trust guys to get and to take care of their responsibilities. Lattimore opens up a ton.
That is super exciting to hear. Communication, the moment you said that, I was music to my ears, right? When we talk about the culture of this team, when we talk about how important communication is to any defense, but Joe Witt's defense in particular, and what he's allowed to do, viewing him as maybe of that Diggs bland role, I'll say, because in terms of caliber, of course, he's there and then some.
Right.
And Adam Peters giving up what people have called a premium pick, a day 2 pick, clearly means that they have a lot of faith in this guy. Well, and so that's exciting to hear.
The thing with the Saints is that, like, you can see those moments, but then you can also see that the Saints have other deficiencies on the defense, and he might have to play a little safer than he wants to. But I think as the defense gets better in Washington, they're going to be allowing him, because they want to allow him to be a ball hawk a little bit more. So I think Lattimore is going to be even excited that he's going to have more opportunities here than he might have had in New Orleans. And also, if you haven't already, if we're just looking at that dog mentality that Washington is looking for, if you just pull up YouTube and look up Mike Evans versus Lattimore,
It's so fun.
I like having that guy on our team.
Yeah, me too. Any final thoughts here, K-Dot, before we move over to the game preview?
Nope, that is it. All I got.
All right, let's go ahead and move on to that game preview.
All right.
It's the All-22 review on District Divided Bitches!
All right. Thank you again, K-Dot, for that concise All-22 review against the New York Giants, propelling us to 7-2 and now hosting the Pittsburgh Steelers at 6-2. So a huge game in the NFL this week 10. And of course, we have to set the context for you guys and walk through the injury report as we always do. So moving on to that, we begin with us, of course. And the aforementioned Marshon Lattimore has not practiced the past couple of days with the hamstring injury. Cornelius Lucas, once again, not practicing. So it looks like it's going to be Brandon Coleman who's going to get the nod again. And Cleveland Farrell, from limited to did not practice. I want to say he's done this before and then played. We will see what happens with him. Austin Seibert, a big name on there. Did not practice Wednesday, limited on Thursday. Something to just look out for. And then, of course, Brian Robinson Jr., the big name coming off the hamstring, did not play against the New York Giants. Everybody else that is limited or full, you, of course, anticipate to play. Haven't heard anything otherwise about being worried about their statuses. So now if we go over and look at the Pittsburgh Steelers, Terrell Edmonds, a big name for them, has not practiced the past couple of days with an illness though. So if he just turns it around and ends up feeling okay on a Friday or Saturday, well then, okay, he's probably going to play. Cam Heyward just being rested. Michael Pruitt not practicing, but then again, these guys are coming off their bye week, so they're pretty healthy right now. And again, this is a 6-2 Pittsburgh Steelers team. They're feeling good. They're very, very well coached with Mike Tomlin. And so that's the injury report over there. Thank you, K-Dot. And why don't we go ahead and talk about the Commanders offense? Once again, Jayden Daniels, Kliff Kingsbury, this offense against a very, very historically good Pittsburgh Steelers defense and a good right now Pittsburgh Steelers defense. So, K-Dot, over to you. How would you attack this Pittsburgh Steelers defense here?
For the first time in quite a long time, you're not going to hear me yell, run the ball.
Yep.
It's going to be a little tougher to do against these guys. Now, that's not to say that you still got to do it. Like we said, you got to keep them honest. And one thing that's really been working out for us is the play action game and setting it up and giving a lot of different looks. I actually saw Dan Orlovsky said something the other day about our run game. He said that it gives defense visual nightmares. Perfect explanation.
Love it.
So you still got to run it. Hopefully Robinson's there, ready to attack, feeling rested, with the hammy feeling good, like you can do it. But is it going to be I think the way that we're going to be able to do this is actually throwing the football. Now, I say that with caution. When quarterbacks are in the pocket, there is no defense in the league better than Pittsburgh. Period. Also, we like to run no huddle. There is no team in the league better than Pittsburgh as far as the no huddle.
I heard that from Nina Kimes. Shout out.
First in EPA in the league as far as that shit goes. So okay, got some issues. But where you have room, and this is where I bring it back to what it is I was saying in the All-22, is if you move out of the pocket, if you get out there, if you break containment, you do what you need to do, they get really bad. Bottom 10, I think, in the league, as far as that shit goes. So this is where I talk about that whole set and throw. You're going to have a lot of opportunities to kind of move around and do whatever, right? A ball is always going to be a bit more accurate if you can set and then throw compared to just running off platform and throwing the ball where you need to. They got some guys coming back. Like you look at Cam Sutton. He's coming back after that 8-game suspension. I don't forget what he got suspended for, but he's coming back. That linebacker, Nick Herbig or whatever, more special team, but he's coming back. like they got guys, and then on the other side, Cordero Patterson coming back. We'll talk about him. But
big play player.
So like they got dudes coming back and coming off the bye. Like I think everybody knows Mike Tomlin, damn good coach. Team coming off a bye, they're gonna want to play with a lot of energy, all this kind of shit. It's kind of cool. Other things that they do really well, and something that we've struggled against certain teams. There is no better defense in the red zone than Pittsburgh in the league. So like they don't give up a whole lot. Now, if we're doing a comparison, right, the Giants, who we've had some issues with in the red zone at times, are 5th in the league as far as that goes. But it's a little, but it's a little misleading. And the reason it's misleading is we're talking about percentage of success as far as in the red zone. On the road, 16.67%. One of the best in the league. At home, which we just played them, 69%. 69%.
Wow.
So, just saying, what it is we just experienced with New York, what it is you're going to experience with Pittsburgh, a little different. Just a little different. And also, when you see Pittsburgh, when you see New York, they had 60% as far as their blitzing. Pittsburgh's not going to do that. They don't need to. They have a front four that could fucking get there. TJ Watt, outside of maybe Aiden Hutchinson, just from an age standpoint, there's not a defensive player in the league I pick over him. Just saying, I love him. You know,
I still wouldn't pick Aiden over TJ Watt. Yeah.
Man, I love Watt. I love this Pittsburgh team going into this season. I had them like really, really high. I love this fucking defense. I think they're damn good. But once again, if we can get Jayden out of the pocket, maybe with some play action because you set it up via the run and get some guys open downfield, you can take advantage. They give up a lot of yards in passing. Even when it came to like, you look at the Dallas Cowboys game, I think Dak almost threw for 400 yards. It was like 350 plus.
Yep,
They
352.
Yep. They just didn't score a ton. So like, that's the thing is like, we got to finish or just take those fucking shots and don't worry about the fucking red zone. Right. So like, it's just, I think we got to be in attack mode. As far as the offense goes, we got to play fast. We got to get it done. I think there's a lot of just get shit done. This is not a defense that you can really trick all that much.
Yeah. This is just a hard work game. This is one of those where you're just going to have to outgrind these guys because against running backs, these guys are solid. They are very good at stopping the run. So that's not necessarily something that is going to be available to you as much as it has been in games past. Now, have they gone against potent rushing attacks? I don't think so, but I think that it's still going to be difficult. You know, once again, this is a historically good Pittsburgh Steelers defense. They've got guys that have been playing together for quite some time. And also, go ahead.
It's related to what you just said. Pittsburgh, if we're looking at ranking, have played as far as strength of schedule of opposing offenses, 28th.
So that's going to lead to the next point in just a moment. I just want to shout out Danny Smith, special teams coordinator, who I know you really like, and one of your favorites, and has been great over here also in the past. Go ahead.
No, you 10 pieces of double bubble. That's my guy. I love Danny. I fucking love Danny Smith.
So yeah, just wanted to shout him out for a moment too, because he spent plenty of time over here.
I've had Danny Smith's spit on me, which sounds really, really weird. But when he's got the gum fucking flying, yeah, I can be. Maybe not from him, but I can be. Dude, he was just chomping that shit. I was like, God damn, wonderful man. But
to my point, to K-Dot's point, to my point again, the idea is that Pittsburgh has also not, and it's so cool to be able to say this through just 9 weeks of our season. I don't think they've played a quarterback like ours yet. So they've played Kirk Cousins, who is a good quarterback in this league, but he's got his ceiling. You know who he is. He's a good player. It was his very first game coming off of his injury, right? That was week 1. You go against Bo Nix. You go against Justin Herbert, Joe Flacco, Dak Prescott, who throws for 352, 2 touchdowns, 2 picks also, Aiden O'Connell, Aaron Rodgers, Daniel Jones. So there is also opportunity to go, hey, you haven't played our guy before. Our guy uses VR. Our guy maybe has a bit of an idea of what this is going to look like, just a little bit. So there is also room for optimism in that regard. And we're at home. And we are going to have burgundy towels to match their terrible towels, which is a cool idea. Shout out B-Match. A brilliant idea. Love that the organization was like, we're going to do that. Yeah. It's going to look beautiful on Sunday. So just want to point out that that's an opportunity as well. Go ahead.
I do hate the burgundy on burgundy uniforms. I'm not a fan.
No, well, can't get it all right. Which the
Wear the gold
organization has been getting a whole
Wear the gold
lot
pants.
right, though.
Wear the
But
fucking gold pants.
Jayden's gone against. You can knock the schedule if you'd like to with the Commanders, but he's gone against Baltimore already, and that was a game where it was him against the world, and he did quite well in it. And he's got that it factor. You look at Chicago, you look at Cincinnati, that plays in his favor as well. Go ahead, K-Dot.
Oh no, that's just the reason I contorted my face was that, like, if we're looking at defenses that did the best job containing Jayden. There's one game that stands above the rest of it. It was the Baltimore game. But Baltimore does not have the same Pittsburgh does not have the same sort of athletes that Baltimore has. And also from a defensive standpoint, as far as from a scheme stance, Pittsburgh, once again, likes to play within the confines of the defensive scheme. Front four, not really going to blitz. We can get there with the four, which means the guys on the outside are going to be playing man. If you want to play man against Jayden Daniels and this fucking team, feel free. You want to turn your back to Jayden Daniels? Okay. This might be one of these grand opportunity games where Jayden is like, holy shit, he can run that well. Like, there's going to be potentially some opportunities for that. The only thing I would caution him on, that's a Steelers team that likes to get fucking physical. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
TJ Watt's going to hit you. He's going to hit you. Like, there's no getting around.
Alonzo Highsmith. Yeah.
They're going to get after.
They got guys.
So,
yeah.
Just be careful. This goes back to, I hope they had the slip and slide in the fucking Ashburn this goddamn week. It's just protect yourself, but there are going to be some opportunities. And especially if he's doing the rollouts like he needs to, if he breaks containment and he can look down the field, the very difficult decisions that the cornerbacks and his defensive guys have to make, or whether or not to commit to him running or stay in coverage, is going to be insanely hard for those guys. And you've got to take advantage of it.
Absolutely. One last thing, and this does go into the Pittsburgh Steelers' favor, is that if you were to compare any QB in terms of style of play to Jayden Daniels, it's Lamar, and they play him twice a year. So this won't necessarily be something that also scares Pittsburgh. It's not like they haven't seen something like this before in terms of elusiveness and speed at the quarterback position. He's his own player, of course, but they've seen something similar to him in the past. Yeah. Any final thoughts here before we flip the script?
Yeah, it's just, I know that Pittsburgh's defense is like the scary defense, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I forgot to go to it earlier. I'm just going to show you something that might give you a little more confidence.
Oh, there we go. I like that. I like the look at that right there.
See, we have stuff that we could take advantage of. The quick passing game, things on the outside, there's going to be some stuff, there's going to be some room if we execute. And that's one thing that we look at this offense to know that we execute. We don't turn the ball over. And as long as we can maintain that, we're always going to be in a game.
Couldn't agree more. And once again, this team has not turned the ball over much. 3 times through the 9 games, the least since 1933. And I think that's when they started tracking this shit. So yeah, that's where we're at right now. Why don't we go ahead and flip the script though, and talk about this. Oh, you're fine. Our Commanders defense against the Steelers offense that has 2 looks to it. There's the one with Justin Fields, who had been starting for most of the time. And there's the one in the last couple of weeks with Russell Wilson, who has looked good, quite honestly. A 109 passer rating against the New York Jets. And I want to say a 114, I'm looking it up right now, 114.9 against the New York Giants. He's looked good. He's made a connection with George Pickens. George Pickens looks the part. And Najee Harris, 3 straight games over 100 yards. He's running like he was his rookie year. When people were wondering, is he going to split time with Jaylen Warren? No, he's still that dude. So, K-Dot, on this side of the ball, what are you seeing? How are we attacking the Steelers offense led by Russell Wilson here?
This is why this game is so great. This is game of the week. This is the best game happening this week. This is like maybe the Lions game.
The Texans-Lions would be the other one, but those are the 2. These are the 2 games. Yeah. And
Thursday night's game, which you guys have already seen by the time.
Correct.
Hopefully it's a good Thursday night game.
Hopefully.
Look, you got a Pittsburgh offense that is ascending. Justin Fields he went 4-2. One of the biggest decisions he got made as far as them making the switch. Russell Wilson unlocks an entirely new element of the game, which is he can throw the deep ball that Justin Fields couldn't. He can arch it. When you got guys like George Pickens, who if you throw 50-50 balls, he coming down with it more than 50%. All right. Mm-hmm. Like, it's just what it is. He's that kind of athlete. They also added Mike Williams, who, much as Aaron Rodgers might not love him, great deep threat. So like, they're going to take their shots, period. What it is as far as this Washington defense and what's going to be real compared to, all right, has it been the opponent? Is it really literally us? It's going to be, is the pressure going to be able to get to Russell Wilson and knock him off platform? Once again, they haven't played a whole lot of great teams. They played the Jets. He played the Jets. They got a pretty good defense, but they're a fucking mess. And then they play the Giants. They play both New York teams, right?
Correct.
And look, we know as far as the Giants in the pass rush, but what they were still able to move the ball and get what it is they need to get done. We all know that Russell Wilson, if you can hit him, at least in the last few years, he doesn't look great. Maybe you want him to revert back to those Denver days. Maybe you're hoping after the bye week that he's overthinking shit because he likes to do that. I think more the mental game with him, right? But defensively for us, it's like, hey, you can't do what you did against New York and just let him run. Najee Harris is not Tyrone Tracy. Cordarrelle Patterson will make you pay. Jalen Warren will make you pay. They will make you fucking pay. And they also got their center coming back who's been entered. The starting center is coming back. So they're going to be more prepared and shit to do this stuff. I don't think you can just let them do what it is they want to do. I just think overall defensively, we have to play the best game, one of the best games that we played all season, just across all lines. Another thing that happened in the Giants game that was really, really weird. And I really couldn't figure out what happened was that, and I know it was just they were throwing more, but they were throwing with ease by the end of the game on us defensively. And it wasn't like we were still doing kind of the same things that we were doing at the beginning of the game. It was just maybe they were tired. I think you alluded to that. Like maybe they were just gassed. Like
I think from the running, yeah.
Potentially. But it's like we've let some teams score in the fourth quarter. And here's a less than fun fact. Russell Wilson has a perfect 158.3 passer rating in the fourth quarter.
I saw that. It's amazing.
He had, and since 2023, last year, he has 13 passing touchdowns in the fourth quarter. It's the third most in the NFL. He's closing games. He's finishing fucking games. So whatever the conditioning was in some of these other games, especially like last week, I hope it's not the same this time because it could get really, really rough. But when I say like, it's just they got to play good fundamental football. Another thing the Pittsburgh Steelers do, and I'm done after this. The Pittsburgh Steelers get a lot of fucking yards through yak. Their receivers love some yak. They have generated the third most yak over expected and the most yak per receptions on targets thrown past the sticks this season. Since Russell Wilson took over as quarterback, the Steelers have generated more yak than expected on a league-leading 90% of their receptions. Gang tackling, get these guys down the fucking ground. I don't want to see fucking terrible lanes or bad angles. Wrap them up. Stop them. Stop them. They rely on it a ton.
This is a disciplined game. We had mentioned it on the offensive side of the ball. You got to outgrind them. And on this side, it's about doing your job. There are many teams that you can play and you can get away with some stuff. When you talk about an organization like the Pittsburgh Steelers, it's not one of them. And hats off to Mike Tomlin. And what an amazing coach he is. And K-Dot, you said it, right? I mean, when we were doing our predictions early on in this season, you had them in the playoffs. And I was like, this is surely the year that they go down. They're in fourth place. And Mike Tomlin has a losing season. Nope. They're still great. And so props to you, K-Dot, for that. Also want to shout out Van Jefferson and Calvin Austin. This game is coming maybe a bit early for Mike Williams. He'll play, but maybe it's limited snaps as he gets up to speed with the playbook over here. Van Jefferson has had a number of targets with Russell Wilson at the helm. Same thing with Calvin Austin. He's the elusive guy. So, like, these are the guys you want to look out for. We have struggled recently against tight ends. More recently, just in the past couple of weeks, Theo Johnson had that what looked like a busted coverage over the middle. He scores. Maybe this is Pat Freiermuth. Maybe this is a Darnell Washington. That's a tough guy to bring down given his size. So, like, you're going to need to be really, really disciplined in this game. One thing in our favor, we're at home. We're beginning to experience some home field advantages here. Those two games for Russell Wilson have come at Heinz Field. Friendly confines for him. Now that he's on the road, can you get to him? He doesn't run much. He's not as mobile as he used to be. He's got a combined 10 yards on 6 carries so far, one of them for a score. But he's probably going to stay in that pocket for you.
He's not going to extend too much, not relative to what he's used to been able to do. So this is also an opportunity with our pass rush, which has been good against the Steelers offensive line that is to be able to get after him. And that's a huge bonus for us. Go ahead, Kato.
Yeah, no, there's no denying any of that. Like, this is a tough outing. If Russell Wilson is going to play at the same level he's played the last 2 weeks, this is a tough outing. Even in this, I go back to that Giants game. There were opportunities Daniel Jones just couldn't take advantage of until very much in the end of the game. If you have a quarterback that wants to sit in the pocket and make quick decisions and take what the defense is giving you immediately, they're going to have some opportunities. Now, if they want these slowly developing deep shots, which they love to take when it comes to George Pickens and those guys, you're going to have an ability to go get them, to go get and rattle them, right? Make sure you don't break containment so he's not running for you as far as those first downs, and we end up looking like you got our Jayden Williams on the other Jayden Daniels on the other side of the fucking field. Yeah, it's look, if I'm Pittsburgh, if I see George Pickens in any sort of situation where he's one-on-one with the Ben Mercedes juice, I'm taking a shot.
Yeah.
If anybody on that defense that we have is in a one-on-one situation with George Pickens, I'm taking a shot.
They were doing that against DJ Reed. They were doing that against Sauce. They didn't care. They were just like, yo, George is a dog. Like, that's which is why it would be so fun if Marshon Lattimore were to play. I would be shocked if he does. He hasn't practiced the past couple of days. He's new to the system, but man, it would have been cool.
He would be so welcome for this particular matchup. Yeah, this is a toughie. But it's just going to be like, hey, defense, you went from 30th ranked in the fucking league to top 15. You guys have done an amazing job over the course of the season. I know we look at the schedule like, oh, who have you played? You play whoever it is and come. Like, that's one of those things. Pittsburgh is one of those teams that they don't give a fuck. That's that Pittsburgh mentality, right? We don't choose the fucking schedule. We show up, we fucking play. That's that Mike Tomlin, right? So defense, how real are you? How real are you? Can you get after him? Can you stop these fucking assholes? Like, that's going to be what it is. It's just, yeah, it's a tough day. Get ready to play.
Yeah, get ready to play. And it's a game where, you know, if you are who we think you are becoming, you got it done. The Commanders defense has played well at home this season overall. And so with that, why don't we go ahead and go to the predictions, where the Commanders at home, 2.5-point favorites against the 6-2 Pittsburgh Steelers. Typically, and this is just a note for you guys if you're new-ish to gambling or anything like that, but when you see a 3-point line for the home team, that's Vegas's way of saying, we don't know. So a 2.5-point spread for the home team is maybe a slight edge to, I know it sounds counterintuitive, but a slight edge to the away team. And they just go, hey, we do like them just a little bit over here. So that's the context behind the line. The over-under is 45.5. K-Dot, as always, from you, I need a score, I need a winner, and I need a player of the game.
Mike Tomlin has a 13-4 record after a bye. They got the best red zone defense in the league. We've kind of struggled against that. But they have not faced an offense like we have here in Washington. And I'm personally, I know you guys are, but I'm personally sick and tired to get out here every week and say they got to prove themselves in another fucking game. So you know what I'm doing? I'm buying in. I'm going to buy in. This is the real fucking deal. Our offense can fucking score. They haven't played anybody like us on offense, and we're going to fucking finish this time. And on defense, look, still a little worried about it. So, and that's going to be reflected in this score that I give, which is I don't feel confident, but I'm going Washington 30.
Okay.
Pittsburgh 27. I love my 3-point.
You got the push.
I love them.
You win. Yeah. 30-27.
My player of the game, I would. So I know we have a caveat that we're not supposed to say Jayden Daniels, right?
Yeah. No, I was thinking the same thing.
But can I say Jayden Daniels because I actually think he might get 100 yards on the ground?
Yes, you can.
Yeah, I think this is going to be one of these like, oh fuck. Like I think he gets.
By the way,
he gets them on the ground.
If you thought the national glazing was bad, if we put up 30, if your prediction comes true, oh my lord.
Yeah.
I want to say that would be a season high point total against a Pittsburgh Steelers defense, against a Mike Tomlin defense. Yeah, he puts up 100 on the ground too, and they're like, oh my God, he can do this too. I mean,
Good
the
Lord.
more you said stuff, the less good I felt.
I know. I know. I mean, but he is special. And with that, I am now at the point where, look, I'm not betting against 5. We could lose this game, but I'm not betting against 5. I'm not about to predict against 5. It's that simple. So it's a tight one. 21-20 Washington.
Likely.
Where it's just like, oh man, because I truly think it is a toss-up game, but we're at home. I think a very slight edge helps us out. Kid is special. We've said it for quite some time now. Player of the game, we have that caveat, not Jayden. I think he's going to be able to do his thing. Christian McCaffrey's coming back for San Francisco. How about Luke being your player of the game? Have yourself a day. He's been open all season. Maybe Terry's jammed a little bit. Maybe Noah Brown's not getting open. Tight ends, not good against Pittsburgh this season so far. How about Luke McCaffrey busting through and going, I'm taking this game over? So have yourself a day, Luke. It's about you, not the other McCaffrey that's coming back. So that is my prediction, 21-20. K-Dot's got 30-27. Jayden Daniels wowing everybody. And I got Luke McCaffrey finally having that breakout game. And Jayden, of course, doing his thing. I just can't bet against the guy. And so now we go over to bet of the week. Get out what you got.
I'm staying the fuck away from this game.
Yeah, same here. Good call. Good call.
This is Vegas saying, hey guys, why don't you come and give us some money? I'm staying the fuck away from this game. The only thing I might do last minute, because I have an addiction problem, is maybe a Jayden like rushing prop, depending on what it is looking like as far as the odds. You might see me get involved with that, and maybe like a Jayden anytime touchdown. But mostly my suggestion to everyone is to stay the fuck away from this game if you are a fiscally responsible human being.
And it must be noted, and Kate, I don't know if you know this, but I built this dashboard. Maybe I'll share it with you guys sometimes. Kate, I've seen it before once or twice. Most rushing yards by a quarterback against Pittsburgh. 25 yards on 4 carries by Bo Nix. Do you know the next highest total?
I do not.
It is 3. 3 yards. Okay, and that
bet
Joe
on the
Flacco
rushing.
and Dak Prescott share that. Okay, so
All right, guys, I'm gonna be wrong.
hey, I'm not saying you can't, because once again, they haven't played a guy like 5 this season.
But I
but
put
that's
money on Kamala Harris winning an election. I'm fucking losing this week. Okay.
Okay, let's
I
go
just
ahead.
hope the score is off. I hope the outcome is legit. But the score and all,
Who knows?
I have no faith in me today. Okay, don't have faith in me.
Well, let's go ahead and hear from other people. In that case, it's the comment mailbag. But first, we got to be introduced by our very own.
Comment mailbag time, motherfuckers. District divided, ain't got time for no suckers. Spread the word, get in line. OGs and new G's, it's your time. And spread the gospel, cause this shit is divine. Yeah.
All right, thank you for that, Nikki. Really appreciate how much you love the beat, and just wanted to hear it a few times extra over there. So appreciate that from Nikki. And we are going to go ahead.
Oh, hold on. Did it play multiple times?
Yeah, just about 3 times there.
It lagged for me. I didn't see it play but once.
Oh yeah,
I was like, what the fuck?
and I was like,
I hope you guys.
all right, I guess we're doing it. All right, I'm trying to see where to begin, because we have 2 videos worth of comments over here. And so I think we need to begin with, as I scroll down. Oh, you know what? Here's a fun one. Here we begin with my generic Namo. Also former co-host of the show, Matt Regan, shout out. Hashtag all roads lead north, with a lion emoji and compass emoji in reference to his 7-1 Detroit Lions. And hey, let's see what the ceiling of this team is. Could it be in a conference championship game against the Detroit Lions? His Lions are feeling good. We'll see. This game will tell us a lot here, K-Dot.
Yeah, I mean, if I was to pick any team in the NFC to make it to the Super Bowl this time, like right now, it's absolutely going to be Detroit. I thought the Aiden Hutchinson injury was going to hurt them. Now, they haven't been able to develop the same pass rush without him, which is to be expected. You just lost Aiden Hutchinson. But before the trade deadline, Zadarius Smith going to Detroit, high energy guy. We'll see what that does. But offensively, they're doing a great job. While I don't have any faith in Ben Johnson, the little bitch, I do think that, Detroit's just a shit. So, yeah, if we make at this point, it's looking pretty good that we're going to make the playoffs.
Yeah,
and
knock on wood. Everyone's
hopefully we are playing against Detroit in that NFC championship.
Oh, that would be something. That would be absolutely something. We go over to Big Papa Grizzly. Shout out. I'll take the L on my score prediction. I got too hyped after 2 weeks of improved defensive play. If they can't figure out a way to play the run better, these next 2 weeks are going to be tougher than they should be. We will see if they do anything before the deadline Tuesday afternoon, and we got an entire Marshon Lattimore video, so we'll get to all those comments as well. I'm not trying to get my hopes up for some big trade like some fans. I'm sure you're pleasantly surprised there, Big Papa. Honestly, if they picked anyone up, I'd be shocked. So we're going to get into that. K-Dot, how about a reaction to the first part then? Because we'll talk about Marshon some more. The score prediction, the defense, talking about playing the run. Do you think that we do against Pittsburgh with Najee having the success he's had, play the run a bit more?
I don't know what happened. So,
Yeah, it's strange.
The Giants game, they didn't stack the box to stop it. So I don't know what that's going to look like. Najee Harris will beat you. That running back group, and especially with a Cordell Patterson that's coming back and looking for fucking blood, they'll beat you by themselves. So I don't know, but I think we talk about complimentary football, right? I think what we end up liking in this sort of situation is shootout. I think that's what I'm kind of hoping for is shootout. And if we're looking at pure shootout, I like our odds. Yeah, I do. I like our odds.
Our guy's been involved in it before, and he's come up big when the lights are brightest. It's awesome.
But if they have the same success that New York had, I trust them. Yeah. And look, I'm not the biggest Arthur Smith guy, but because he doesn't run the ball, at least if Bijan Robinson was there, he wouldn't look like that.
Anyone that had an Atlanta Falcon last season in fantasy doesn't trust Arthur Smith.
But I don't think he is going to pull a Brian Dable. I think that they are going to take their shots when they do. I think they're more disciplined than that. But yeah, if it'll be a long fucking day. And I know everyone saw what Saquon Barkley did. And if that is any indication, if you need to stop the fucking run, next week could be really, really messy.
Yeah, absolutely. We go over to Brandon Reichs. Shout out. Sliding needs to get better. I guess at least he isn't going head first anymore. That's the comment for Brandon. Get out your reaction.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. No, that's fine. Rex Ryan liked the head first slide. Remember that early on? He was like, "Yeah, actually is better for you."
I understand it. I get it to a certain degree, but my concern with if you're going head first doing anything in football is concussion. So
yeah, that's fair. And again, I do think he was caught between minds, and you got that half awkward slide that we talked about. That's what I think
cannot happen.
All right, we'll just move on. We go over to Tony. Shout out Tony. Troy Aikman and Joe Buck are really good, but Chris Collinsworth is my favorite. Gruden was fun, and I think a word's missing. And that Aqib Talib game was real as fuck. Gruden was fun, and that Aqib Talib. I want to know what that other word would have been. K-Dot, your reaction?
The last part, I guess, kind of lost me a little bit.
How about that? Why don't we stick there?
Say that one more time. I'm sorry.
Troy Aikman and Joe Buck are really good, but Chris Collinsworth is my favorite.
Oh, yeah. No, I got that. Sorry. I didn't hear you say stick to the first part. I guess that context, that's what you were saying.
Oh, yeah.
I wasn't actually repeat that. I was just, okay. Yeah, I guess my internet sucks today. I think the best color guy in the business is Collinsworth. Buck is my favorite overall person because I think he makes anybody with him better. Mm-hmm. He elevates everything. But and once again, 3-man booth is usually fucking bad, but I would not mind seeing those guys back together. Although I do like Mike Tirico. I just think the combinations are perfect.
The Italian. Right.
Did you look into it?
No, not yet. I do have some time though. Ridge, where your helmet at, looked into it a little bit. I know you saw that on the chat. We go over to Coach. Shout out, Coach. Congrats on the win. Neither of our teams dominated as much as they should have. Both were messy wins. And that's one comment. I'm going to go straight to the other one from Coach. An all-22 request? How in the fuck did Washington shut down the number one pass rush in the NFL? Tight end and running back chips? Holding? A mobile quarterback? Winning 1v1 matchups? Bobby Johnson had a low-skill MASH unit offensive line in New York last season. Tons of injuries. K-Dot, your reaction?
I think everything you said. Yes.
Yeah, he even said hold with Brandon Coleman. Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, oh, we should go up that too. Yeah, all of it. It was all there. Yeah, exactly.
I also want to shout out Chris Rodriguez. There was one play, I want to say it was a 3rd and short, where he needed to stick whoever it was just off of a play action, and he does, and we end up moving the chains because of it. Chris Rodriguez, once again, activated on Saturday, 4 p.m., or elevated rather. Still not sure he's going to play, but there's sort of an inkling there. For him to step up the way he did, that speaks to the culture we've got going right now. That was awesome from Chris Rodriguez.
And immediately give his number up to a vet. Love that dude.
Yeah. I mean, awesome from Chris Rodriguez on the field, off the field, to your point. So shout out Chris Rodriguez. We go over to House of Minstry. Shout out. I feel the defense goes 110% each play, but the game against the Bears is tiring. So pace must be maintained because it's 4 quarters. Save yourself for the important quarter. We outplayed the Bears, but gas out in the 4th quarter. We can't do that anymore. It's something you and I have both seen, K-Dot.
You guys might be onto something. Like I don't want to think the conditioning is that fucking bad, but but they're like, once again, the Giants, there are games where you're just like, what is going on? Now I know 2-minute offenses gonna do whatever, but there's like, so maybe that's just it. You put a team in a 2-minute offense against us with the guys not able to play man the way they want to fucking play man, and they just not, you're gonna be able to move the fucking ball. There are rooms to do, there's space to do shit. Maybe the front 4 are just gassed by the end of the fucking game and they can't get there.
K-Dot, I'm the size of a small kicker, but I have the mindset of an offensive lineman. It is a football law that if you keep running the ball, eventually a team is going to get tired. So I don't even call that a conditioning thing, because I think this is true for all teams. If you run as much as you do and you're able to get push over time, because it's easier for an offensive lineman to push a D lineman as the game progresses, you continue to do so. I think that's just part of the deal. I think that's why we stress on running the ball so much. It's not just the yards you're getting initially in the time of possession. It's what you're able to do at the end of games.
I think I agree with that if you do it all game. There's a gap in the Giants game.
Okay. No, that's fair.
There's a clear gap in the Giants game. And it's like, and the thing is, the 3rd quarter, you're still doing pretty good. And then 4th quarter, it's like, whoa, what's happening?
Okay. No, that's fair. We go over to Cody Ryan, like pork rind. I still do remember that, Cody. So shout out. I know it's hard to be positive, even in a win, just from being a fan of this team for 30 years. But they swept the Giants, and I officially feel like the dark cloud is gone. Not sure if you touched on this, but the Giants have the highest sack percentage since 2000. I did not know that. And Washington held them to 0. Bobby Johnson deserves his flowers when none of us had high hopes for him, honestly. And shout out Bobby Johnson. That's against his whole team there, by the way. Remember how Wiley was the most hated guy on this team last year? It's crazy how fast this has turned around. Just think, this is the worst version of the Commanders we will see, meaning Adam Peters doesn't even have all his pieces in place yet. It feels good to not look at mock drafts at this point in the season, and I'm taking this all in. Hail to the motherfucking Commanders. If you told me after last season Washington could double their win total from last year by week 10, I would have called you crazy, but here we are. Get out your reaction to Cody Ryan's comment.
Called you a fucking idiot. Yeah, they've gone beyond. I think there was a lot of fans who were getting on Wiley, not here on this fucking podcast. As we've said, this offensive line was better than what it is that was laid out to them last year, and it had most to do with Eric Bieniemy than any other human being. Yet on top of that, Sam Howell occasionally would move himself into a sack sort of situation. So I think all things are pointing in the right direction, and Bobby Johnson being able to focus and hone in on this with a coaching staff full of guys with good ideas and communicating, fantastic.
Absolutely fantastic. We go over to Mr. Payne 134 with a couple comments here. Shout out in reference to the Heisman comment that was made in the last video. Baker Mayfield, Heisman, lost. Joe Burrow, Heisman, won. Kyler Murray, Heisman, won. Lamar Jackson, Heisman, lost. Jameis Winston on Cleveland, Heisman, won. We played Watson, of course. Bryce Young on Carolina, we played Andy Dalton, Heisman, won. Caleb Williams, Heisman, won. And then also throws in Justin Fields on Pittsburgh, who we will not be playing, but also a Heisman winner, I want to say. And so that is where Mr. Payne was coming from. There's one more comment, and then
We'll throw it to you, K-Dot. Should we trade Forbes and a 7th round pick for Lattimore? Forbes doesn't fit our style of play. Lattimore does. So, K-Dot, your reaction to those two comments, and then we're going to get into the Marshon Lattimore comments.
So apparently not, as far as that trade scenario.
Right.
Although would I prefer it to what it is we did end up doing? Maybe. Although maybe they're still kicking the tires on Forbes.
And by the way, it must be noted, they actually released F.A. Obata. He cleared waivers and they were able to get him back on the practice squad. So that worked out really, really well from that perspective. But it was not Emmanuel Forbes. It was not someone in the secondary room, which honestly we had guessed just given his snap count so far. But hopefully there is still hope for him.
You saw Ngakoue got cut?
I did.
Interesting.
Interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, as far and the Heisman thing, I'm surprised. It didn't used to be that way. That you had that many fucking Heisman winning guys like playing in the NFL. I always felt like it was more like, yeah, they're kicking around or they underperform. They're out of the league in like a year or two. So I'm actually that's a surprise. I never really thought about the amount of Heisman winners that are there right now in the NFL.
Yeah, no, quite a few there. We now move over to the Marshon Lattimore trade video. And so we're going to go ahead and begin with Coach, who got 4 likes on this comment here. Shout out, Coach. Loving K-Dot medium vibes. Congrats on the move. Marshon is a press man boundary corner, which allows Witt Jr. to play C1 and single high. Cover 1, single high. Mikey gets to move back inside. I think he's the third best nickel in the NFC East today. He might be the number 1 at the end of the season. Right now, number 1, Cooper DeJean, number 2, Drew Phillips, number 3, Mike Sanderstill, number 4, Jordan Lewis for now. Playing single high allows Chin and Defoe to play in the box and help your horrid run defense. A+ move by Adam Peters. K-Dot, your reaction.
Yeah. I mean, I don't necessarily agree with all the fucking adjectives used, but the general concept, like I said, when we did the All-22 breakdown is, yeah, that's the thing. It's like what Lattimore ends up allowing us to do defensively is unlock a bunch of things. It just allows guys to not have to play. I feel like right now you have a defense that is supremely limited in what it is they want to do. And Quinn and Witt are just trying to make it work. And it's a good move.
It's a great move. We talked about it in the last episode about comfort zones, moving St. Juste back to being a second corner on the team instead of having to guard the elite wide receiver every single time. Benjamin St. Juste is a good corner, people. I think you guys forget it because you see him against these number 1 corners over and over and over again. And he still sometimes holds his own as well. Moving him over to the number 2 makes a difference. Mike Sanderstill playing in the slot makes a big difference. And Noah Igbenogany has had a nice season so far. And so we're going to get into him also in a moment with some of these comments. K-Dot, your reaction to what I just said there?
St. Juste feels like he used to be more consistent than he is right now.
Sure.
That's the feel or the vibe I get. Now, I get that's because of what it is that's happening on the confines of the defense, and they're asking them to do a lot or whatever. I don't know. But, yeah, of course, him being able to move to the second corner and let Lattimore do his thing as far as the top guy, yeah, it helps. I don't think St. Juste is bad by any means. I think he's definitely somebody that you'd like to have on your team. I just want to see more consistency from him.
Sure. We all want to see that, just to be clear. And Joe Witt has mentioned simplifying the defense, simplifying the communication to make sure things run more smoothly. With the Marshon Lattimore, who talks as much as he does, maybe they can get back to a degree of complexity that they want to.
And I'll actually say, on the All-22, something I did not mention, Sanderstill didn't have his best outing. He was making some mistakes out there. You could clearly see. Yeah, so, like, I once again, Lattimore being able to play and these guys being able to do stuff more naturally, it's gonna help.
Yeah, Sanderstill also unfortunately he was the one that I think attempted to tackle Daniel Jones on the goal line, and Jones ended up pushing through. Not a great moment, but I love me some Mikey Sanderstill, so shout out.
Same.
We go over to Benjamin Cole with 3 thumbs up on this guy. A lot of thumbs ups on these comments over here, which is excellent. I say keep Mikey outside. Let Noah stay inside and use St. Juste as a rotational situation corner. K-Dot, what do you think of that idea?
I don't hate it, but I need to see Sanderstill inside.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. That's why we drafted him, was to do that. So I would say put him in his best position, and I suspect we will, but we'll find out. Well, maybe not this Sunday. Maybe we find out on Thursday.
See.
And it hurts because Iguodala is doing I like his play.
doing
I
well.
really like what he's doing. Yeah, and he I think he's found like his home in the slot, but I need to see Sanders still there. We're not getting enough playmaker. We're not getting enough big plays on defense, and we need to take advantage of that.
Yeah, I suspect you may see a number of rotations coming up. We're going to figure out how Lattimore fits in, and we're going to figure out who's doing well. It may be matchup based depending on the team we're playing against. So, I don't think it's necessarily set in stone. Mr. Payne, 134 with a few here. AP keeps cooking. That's 1. 2, he has the Devontae Adams injury. I'm not playing for a bum team. Trade me. That's the comment over there. And the third one, did any team pick up Jamin Davis? And someone immediately replies, yes, the Green Bay Packers onto the practice squad. K-Dot, your reaction to those 3 comments. Take a pick.
Never mind. There's a homecoming for Preston Smith.
Yes. Shout out Preston Smith, who was just traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers and will presumably be playing against us this Sunday.
I think if it was the Devontae Adams injury, then we'd have no question Lattimore's playing this week.
He would have been practicing fully just like Devontae Adams did literally day 1.
Right. So I don't think that's the case here. But I do think that there is get me the fuck out of here vibes.
Yeah. And I suspect also with Lattimore, the coaching staff is going to take it a bit slowly. Just be like, hey, you got a playbook to look at. That's 1. So that's plenty to do already. And 2, let's get that hamstring 100% because we're not just focused on this week. We got a Philadelphia game that we'd love for you to be available for. And beyond that, we got Dallas. We need you to be available for that and the rest of the season. So you don't want to trade for a guy and have it be 80% the whole way. You need that guy at 100 to be what he truly is. We go over to the Nathan Perry shout out. Listen to this on my way to vote. It was a suggestion that K-Dot and I both had. We're glad you did that, Nathan. But then Nathan has, what'd you say? Sorry.
It was more of a commandment.
Yes, indeed it was. And Nathan does have one more though. Wow. You really went there. I'm low-key disgusted. I understand divided is in the name. But to outwardly alienate a portion of your listeners is appalling. I thought you two had taste. I don't know if I can trust you anymore. Joe Buck and Troy Aikman? Really? I can't stand them. I thought I did a great dramatic read there. I can't stand them. I have to watch their broadcasts on mute, especially when it's us against the Cowboys. Troy spends his time talking up the opponent and Buck slobbers all over him. Yuck. Just yuck. K-Dot, your reaction.
All right, number 1, fuck you for doing that.
Oh, great.
Nathan, a slight fuck you to you too, man. I'm looking at I'm not happy about what happened over the last few days, and I know you got your military background, so I thought that was going to go left, and I was say myself.
Well, right.
So I'm just saying, and once again, whatever you feel, just keep it. I don't need to know. But
I think that was Nathan's. I think that was the concept with Nathan too, which was brilliantly done. Yeah,
playing with my fucking heart and emotions.
You're like, please no, we love you guys. Don't do it,
motherfucker.
Well done, Nathan. That's Nathan.
Fantastically done. I just disagree. I think a lot of fans don't like. I don't think he's slobbing anybody. I just think that they like the guys that are playing and they like talking good things. It's like everybody like Collinsworth. Everybody makes fun of him because he's saying all these nice things about. I'm cool. I like it. I like the positivity. I'm good with it. I don't need anybody being all cynical the entire fucking time.
Yeah. I think also for me, Buck and Aikman, there is some recency bias with just how perfectly Jayden played in that Monday night game. And Troy initially starting off by going, hey, he's missing open receivers to, oh my God, this guy's real, huh? And Joe Buck going, yeah, this dude is something. And then hearing them on SportsCenter right after just going, hey, there may be a real one here in Washington. So I think I got some bias there, at least on my end. Go ahead, kiddo.
But here's the thing with Aikman, and this is where I don't want to agree with Trey Aikman on anything. Shout out to LeVar Arrington. But when watching the All-22 and Jayden Daniels, I kept bringing up something. I still kind of want to bring it up every once in a while. There is no more frustrating thing at all when watching football than seeing guys get wide open and the ball doesn't get thrown to them. There might not be a more frustrating thing you can watch.
That's why Luke McCaffrey's going off this week.
Look, I'm starting to lose actual real money now because I've been betting that same fucking thing every week.
This is the week, K-Dot.
I get he's not making bad decisions. And you want to give him credit for taking what's there and doing it very accurately. But there's dude, if you just see that, you're like, we're comparing you to the best fucking passes period in fucking league. Like, there's less talk about your dynamic as far as your fucking running. This is, dude, this motherfucker can outthrow your Josh Allens and your fucking Patrick Mahomes. Like, if he starts connecting on those, it's going to be lights out. So if you're Aikman and you're watching that shit, especially early on this season, you're like, dude, please just fucking take it. Because especially if you're a quarterback, I can only imagine. You don't usually see guys getting that fucking open.
A shout out Kliff, making that work.
Big time.
Brian Johnson as well, pass game specialist. So like throw him in there as well. We go over to Big Papa Grizzly. Shout out. I'm not worried about this hamstring injury in reference to Marshon Lattimore. I find it hard to believe, given all that we have seen, that Adam Peters would trade away that kind of capital for a player who would not be available at most by the Eagles game. He has been meticulous with his selections, which means that we know Lattimore got hit with the commander tag. He's going to be exactly what we were looking for. Adam Peters and Dan Quinn know what they have right now is special. They've caught lightning in a bottle with Jayden, and they opened their Super Bowl window wide open a lot earlier than expected. I'm not saying we are going to win the whole thing, but this makes us stronger contenders deep into the playoffs, which is still huge for a first-year team. Big Papa, I couldn't agree more. Getting a guy like Marshon Lattimore, we've talked about the impact it could have on the rest of the defense in terms of Mikey Sanders still being able to play the slot, or Noah staying there and Mikey going outside if that's your preference, or St. Juste being the second corner over there. Marshon has playmaking ability to the point that he could win you a game in the fourth quarter. So that is the type of player that we brought in. So I completely agree. He could win us a playoff game. Go ahead, Kato.
Yeah, I'm not worried about this hamstring injury either. I am worried. I'm not going to deny, when I look over the last few years and the amount of games that he's missed, I'm like, I don't like that, especially with the age that he's at right now. What I do love about it is I'm not worried about the compensation given to him at all. And the fact is there's no guaranteed money tied up in the entire thing, which is not going to mean that you cut him. But regardless of injury history, the fact is, like, if he shows up and he's playing for you with where we're at as far as a team, it's still a net negative. It's still a net positive. Sorry, a net positive. Because we didn't have to give up that much to fucking do it. And if you look at like what we had to give off to get there in the first place, to have the compensation or to at least have some stuff that you could feel okay with giving up this shit. Look, still love him. No one misses Jahan Dotson. No one misses Jahan Dotson. And maybe you look at what's his name, Ridgeway, and you're like, oh, I'd like to have him in the rotation.
We just gave the 6th-round pick back.
Come on,
we gave our third, which isn't as high as the one we got from the Dotson trade. And you get Marshon Lattimore.
Like, even if I'll put it to you this way. Would I make that trade if I knew I only had Lattimore for, let's say, 10 games a season? Yes. Yes, I do it.
And we have that option. There's no guaranteed money after this year. We want him to stay, of course, given the talent that he has. But that's also built in of like, hey, if it doesn't work, okay, you tried. Whatever. Maybe he wasn't good for the locker room, let's say. I anticipate he will be, but let's say. Okay.
Looking at the early video, it looks good.
Yeah, which is very, very exciting. We go over to True Fan. Shout out. I'd like to see Noah stay at nickel. A lot of people think of that. He's been solid. Keep Mike outside and put Juiced on bench as depth. That seems like the best lineup with Lattimore, and we're going to find out. It doesn't sound like we're going to find out this week. Once again, Marshon Lattimore has not practiced the past couple days. Could he practice today? We'll find out, but we will see. Kidot, your reaction?
I think this goes to what you were speaking to a little earlier. I think it's that people see what Noah's doing, and they're underrating St. Juste a little bit. I get it. If you watch the All-22 on Mike Sanders still, the one thing that leaps off more than any other thing is his tenacity. Like, you even see he doesn't stop. Like, you see, there was the what was it again? I think it was DeAndre Swift was running to the end zone, and clearly he's not going to catch him, but he doesn't stop running after him. He doesn't stop. He keeps going. You can see it, but he definitely makes mistakes out there. He definitely misses some stuff. He's definitely not in the right position. He's definitely in some spots where you're like, all right, you're clearly really young at this. Like, maybe this is not either the right spot for you or whatever. I'm not saying he looks bad out there, but I'm saying, like, if I'm looking as far as the outside, who has had the most positive plays for me that I've seen, I still go St. Juste over Mike Sanders. Still, I would absolutely do that. And Mike Sanders still has played his best football so far and is going back to college now in the slot. So, like, I want to at least see what that looks like. And maybe he can make plays from there. I like to see him around the ball or closer to the action.
Yeah. I mean, if Marshon were available this week, don't anticipate it, but let's say he were, then he's lining up against Calvin Austin. Like, that's an intriguing Mike Sanders still versus Calvin Austin, for example. Like, against the Eagles, if Devonta Smith goes in the slot, having Mike Sanders still against him is an intriguing matchup from that position in particular. So, like, there's a lot of interesting stuff that goes into that. Here's one from,
regardless of the way they do it, I trust this defense.
I trust. Yeah. First and foremost, and I think we probably should have said that from the get-go and the jump. Trust the coaching staff to be able to figure that out. We go to George Taylor. Shout out. Mikey slot, Marshon, cornerback 1, Noah, Igbenogany, cornerback 2, and let the corner on the practice squad, I believe there's a Chigozie Anaciem, get some run. We good. That's the comment over there. So a lot of people low on St. Juiced.
I trust it. Look, if you watch the tape, there's stuff happening that is not, they are limited in what they're able to do defensively because there's a talent deficiency, period. Yep. I trust these guys more than any guys that have been in Washington quite some time to know who they should play compared to not playing and where to play them on the defense. That's it. And the fact that they have gotten this far with this defense, regardless of who it is they played, just looking at ranking, is an achievement. Yeah. There are deficiencies in the defense, period.
Yep. We go back to the Giants recap video very quickly with a blood clot comment over here. OG, by the way, shout out. Jayden looks about as awkward sliding as Michael Scott parkouring in The Office. That's good. Yeah, that was a great episode too. The one thing Chicago did right was teaching Caleb how to slide using a slip and slide. It's his one and only fault. We had this same problem with RG3. Different guys, but how? I learned how to slide in the 2nd grade. And so that's Blood Clot's comment with a YouTube short attached. I wish I had seen that part beforehand. I would have sent it over to KDOT for the production aspect of things. What I'll do is I'll put this YouTube short, which I have not clicked, in the description, and maybe we play it before the next episode or something like that. But appreciate the comment there, Blood Clot, KDOT, your reaction.
Yes.
Yeah, I think we got it with the laughter on the Michael Scott parkouring in The Office. That was a good line. It was a good line, Blood Clot. Give you that.
Actually, I haven't watched The Office in quite some time.
Been ages.
Like regular watching.
Yeah. It's been ages since I've seen The Office. Yeah, might be a nice background show now and then to bring back. We go over to the Nathan Perry one more time. Won't be nearly as scary as the last comment. Back to the Marshon Lattimore video. Nathan Perry goes, on the corners, Mikey has started to play well outside. Mm-hmm. Any chance we see him stay there and have a shakeup in the defensive back room? One thing I do want to say is I do love the chatter that this has because we've got a number of comments now. Should Mikey stay there? Should he move to the slot? And then Noah plays on the outside. I love the different ideas coming from the various fans for our Commanders fan base. And once again, trust the coaching staff. It's going to be intriguing to see what happens.
I trust it. Like, once again, Mike Sanders still, when I talk about some of the deficiencies that I see from him on outside, I can chalk that up to he's a young dude.
Yeah.
He's got to get better. I don't know what the ceiling is like. I don't know anywhere near what the ceiling is like for him as far as outside. It might be great. It might be Hall of Fame. I don't fucking know. I'm just saying that, like, if I want to see all the different variations, and I want to see what it is this defensive staff thinks is the best. I wouldn't be surprised if you saw some variations of shit. They're not unwilling to try some kind of off the wall type shit. I was talking to somebody the other day about Brandon Coleman. And I was like, oh, Coleman and Lucas were going back and forth to drive. They're like, what? I was like, I've never seen that before in my life. Like, but they did it and there was no fanfare about it, right? Unless you were really paying attention to it or listening to like Commanders media, it never really get brought up that they were like, switch out. That doesn't happen. So right. Like they're willing to try things. Just trust the process on this. Just the process. So to Nathan's point, could there be a shakeup? Absolutely.
Yeah. And they could end up rotating. Like you said, just sort of like what we did with Coleman and Cornelius Lucas, which, by the way, in retrospect, if you have a later round pick that's raw, makes a lot of sense to do. Give him a handful of snaps. See how that goes. You already got film. You could go over it with him on Monday. That's a smart idea. And once again, we talked about the coaching staff
K-Dot wanted Dan Quinn damn near from the jump. It was Raheem Morris and Dan Quinn for him, the second chance guys. They said they were going to do stuff differently. That's an example of doing stuff differently. Very smart, and it looks like it's worked so far in his development. It's a way to develop players. So just props to the coaching staff.
It's a good position to do it, as long as you're not quarterback carouseling it, Steve Spurrier style. Like,
yeah. Don't do it that way, right? With the quarterback. But
although there is one, New Orleans, stupid assholes, but the what the Saints used to do with like Taysom Hill, I did think that was interesting.
Yeah. I mean, he ended up being productive because he would also just be a battering ram. Sometimes it would just be a QB draw or like, a little
hurt all the fucking time.
Yeah, exactly. We go over to Big Papa Grizzly with another one. Shout out. Nothing makes this sweeter than seeing us making blockbuster trades is seeing Jerry Jones overspend on a wide receiver 3. Jerry is the type of guy who thinks that expensive means high quality. Either that or he heard Mingo is packing at least 8.5. It's a great line.
No one left.
I got no notes.
Jerry Jones is a fucking idiot.
Yeah. 4th round pick for the guy. The 8.5. I don't know. Maybe he knows. Maybe that factored in. He's like, dude, this guy's a cowboy. We conclude with Jess Santo. Shout out Big Papa one more. That was very funny.
That was good.
Jess Santo goes, I love the Lattimore trade. People fail to realize that since hardly any of the Rivera era draft picks are still on the roster, there isn't much salary cap tied to future contracts on the current team. I find it crazy how analysts are still saying this team hasn't beat anyone yet. The Bears were supposed to beat us and have a legitimate chance at the playoffs until Jayden Daniels ripped their souls out of their bodies. My side bitch Cardinals are playing some pretty good football as well. First place in the NFC West, so props to you there, Jess. The Steelers are definitely a threat, and I'd really like to win this game for bragging rights over friends and family. Okay. TJ Watt is a problem, but our O-line sent Myles Garrett and Dexter Lawrence to the negative zone. Russell Wilson has been playing better, but I think if our defense pressures the hell out of him, he'll revert to the play style that had him banished from Denver. I'm expecting Lattimore to sit for a week or 2. Okay. I wouldn't be surprised if they let Robinson and Lucas get some more time to heal up as well. It's a long season, and we apparently cannot have a bye week before the end of the season anymore. I'm looking forward to seeing what McGee can do when he comes back. I'm really hoping for a win with a comfortable lead. The team is handing out burgundy towels. So when the terrible towels are waving, it will be a sea of burgundy and gold. Let's kick some yins or arse. Love the show. Share this shit. That's the comment from Jess and K. Your reaction.
No notes. Yeah, it's
no notes. Here we go.
Yeah, never.
No,
you're right. No notes.
I was just enjoying that. Go ahead.
No notes. I think we're good. No notes. Yes, great.
Jess, I blew that for everybody. This was the Common Mailbag and the show. This was District Divided, a DC Sports podcast, more specifically a Washington Commanders podcast. I am Amit. That is K-Dot. Thank you guys so much for listening to the episode. The Pittsburgh Steelers preview, predictions, comment mailbag, and the All-22 review brought to you by K-Dot of that win against the New York Giants. And if you enjoyed the episode, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell, comment as you always do, and K-Dot,
share this shit! Share it.
We greatly appreciate you guys. After the pod begins right now.
Hey, look, the video played without me skipping.
Oh, wonderful. Oh, there we go. So what I decided to watch, so I've watched a little bit of The Facility, which, by the way, is an underrated show. I saw a few clips online and was like, oh, okay, I'm enjoying it. It's Shady McCoy, it's Emmanuel Acho, Chase Daniel, and James Jones. Okay, so all former players. What'd you say?
No.
It was fun. And so I ended up watching some of it and was like, okay. I mean, it's not as thorough analysis as others. It's much more the mindset of players and stuff like that. I was like, okay, sure, whatever. Shady McCoy is so funny. So I ended up watching some of his I Am Athlete interview, which if you haven't seen that,
You got to see it. I mean, it starts off, they're talking about what types of women they prefer, stuff like that. Then they get into Shady versus Miami running backs because he has an argument with DJ Will. I mean, hysterical. So if you haven't seen it, I haven't seen all of it, but I've seen like half an hour and I absolutely loved it. So just wanted to say that Shady is a funny motherfucker, man. He is very, very funny.
He ain't my cup of tea.
That's fine. That's fine.
And Emmanuel Acho, absolutely not. And
That's fair.
the best LaShawn McCoy moment for me in the last decade was when he lost to Aaron Donald in a foot race.
Oh, yeah.
It's a great moment.
I mean, Aaron Donald, freak athlete.
He's insane. But also, like the best athletes are usually the defensive linemen, period.
Yeah.
They're so big. Like move around. They're insane. But Emmanuel Acho, he rubs me the wrong way.
He has some pretty ridiculous takes and he doubles down to, and you're like, you can't seriously. And he has like an NFL MVP vote, for example. And for him, head-to-head matchups matter, even though they're not playing against each other. Like, it's just a weird. Yeah, I'm on your side there.
It has nothing to do with sports takes.
Really?
Not a thing to do with sports takes. I don't listen to a sports takes. And the reason I don't listen to a sports takes are after 2020, when everything was happening as far as like the protests, George Floyd and everything, I didn't like that he had a show that he was rolling out with a conversation with a black man.
Oh, I didn't know about this.
Yeah. He had this whole thing. He would like have cops come on and he was trying to figure out ways to bridge the gap in this, that, and the other. But it's not to take away, and this is like racial identity, everything is can be really like it's complicated. It's very, very complicated shit. And I wish it mattered less, but it does. And when you hear him talk about his upbringing, and how he's never experienced most of the things that a lot of us have over here, as far as like the private school environment that he was in and the more sheltered environment that he was in compared to a lot of other ones. I didn't like the viewpoint that he was coming in the sense of speaking on, it felt as though he was speaking on behalf of a lot of other people that he shouldn't have been. It also felt like I'm not a huge fan of sanitizing my words for white people. Period. I'm more blunt than that. So I don't like, hey, we need to package it up nicely so they feel good about themselves. Like it's not my thing.
You tell it as it is. Yeah.
I try to, man. Like I
think you do a great job of it.
I'm the dude that I don't never forget. My ex-girlfriend. I'm at brunch with her whole family, parents, all of them. And we get into a conversation, whatever, and they're white. And I'm like, hey, we just got to admit, you annoy me and I annoy you. Can't we just be honest about that? And like, what? I'm like, you're white. You have money. You annoy me. And I was like, you guys hate that we complain about slavery and shit. Just admit it. I know you're liberal, but when you first hear it, you're like, oh, they get the fuck over it. I know you do. Just admit it.
This is when like a George Costanza just loses it on Seinfeld. He just decides, you know what? This is it.
Like, I want us to be honest. Like, I like honesty more than I like any other thing. Just be honest with each other. I'm a firm believer that you don't have to like each other to fucking get along. You don't have to like each other in order to not cause harm to each other. I don't give a fuck if you like me or not. Just don't hurt me, right? Don't prevent me from prospering, right?
Right.
You don't gotta like me. I don't give a fuck. Like, it's what I always talk about Boston. I wrote this on my Instagram the other day. I always appreciated Boston. I love Boston. It's one of my favorite cities. It's East Coast San Francisco with snow and racism. That's it.
Correct.
It's the only difference. But what I loved about it is that they're up front with the racism. Like, they're just up front with it. And here's another thing they won't do. They don't vote against their own self-interest, which I'm a fan of. It's not like I hate you so much, I'm going to dig myself a grave just because I fucking hate you. They're like, yeah, fuck you. Don't like you, but hey, this helps all of us. All right, whatever. Just stay over there.
Well, fuck like, you. One more time. Yeah.
You think you're better than me? Like, there's that. So like, I appreciate honesty more than I appreciate bullshit. I don't like performative nonsense. And to me, Emmanuel Acho, to bring it all the way back, felt like a big ball of performative nonsense to make certain people feel better about themselves.
So it felt disingenuous.
And I think I might be being mean. I might be being mean to Acho, but
okay,
I do.
But you're being honest to your point. Like, I mean, that's part of it. Okay, so you're either correct or misinformed, but either way, it's how you feel right now. So that's totally fair.
He also did an interview with Higher Learning with Van Lathan and Rachel Lindsay, another podcast I like to listen to, and it did not go well.
Oh, okay. So we've got a couple different things that he's done that you're just like, yeah. I mean,
not a fan.
No, that's fair. That's fair. But anyway, so watch that, which is fun because I came across the genesis of it, or at least the starting point for me was the Crazy Work. There's a segment they do called Crazy Work, and I saw a clip for it because they were talking about Saquon's play. So I guess Shady does like the top 3 plays, and you just like the production for it is so well done. They have this enormous screen. And it felt like a sort of inside the NBA type where like you see Saquon do that and then they immediately zoom in on 2 different players on the Eagles just going, and they're just like loving it. They got some cool graphic art with it. So that launched me into a couple clips of the facility and then launched me into Shady McCoy's I Am Athlete. So that's where all that was from. So just enjoyed that. But yeah, what have you been up to past couple days here?
Watching CNN.
Yeah, that's fair.
I've been watching CNN, Fox News, and MSNBC on fucking loops. I've been listening to podcasts. I've been having a lot of fucking tough conversations with a lot of fucking people. That's just sort of been what's happened. I mean, I think everybody kind of knows that I get plugged in, I get involved. Election cycles. There's not been a presidential election I haven't volunteered in since I was able to vote. Even before I was able to vote, I used to stomp and go out there to get out to vote for mayoral candidates in DC. Like, I find it to be a civic duty, to get involved in some way. Sometimes it didn't even have any party affiliation. There was one time down in Virginia where my entire job was just to transport people to the polls. So it didn't matter what their affiliation was. You had a lot of people in certain areas that didn't have transportation. Virginia, there's large swaths of land. Everything's a lot longer to get to than being in the fucking city. So I literally would just spend the entire day just driving people to the polls, driving back home. Oh, you got a kid? You don't got a car? All right, let's get a car seat in my car. Let's get you to fucking polls. Like, it's that I did that all day. I love doing that. I think that it's important. So yeah, that's been my week. I did this time. I did have party affiliation this time. I did work the phone banks, and it didn't turn out my way. So I'm trying to figure out what to do now, and I'm having a lot of conversations.
No, I mean, you should be proud of your efforts nonetheless, and just even listening to you talk about it, and at least the passion coming through. I'm like, shit, maybe I should have done more. I mean, I went and voted early, and was like, okay, cool. I did what I was supposed to do. I've never particularly been interested in politics. Kind of ironic growing up in DC, but I think a lot of friends that I grew up with were sort of similar. You're in it, so you hear so much about it. You're just like, I want to do other stuff. But no, maybe I should get more involved in stuff. That is what came to mind for me listening to you right there, K-Dot.
I never try to say it in any sense like anybody has a responsibility to do so.
But the civic duty thing was resonating with me. Like, I'm born and raised here. Like, I should.
I will tell you, it's all born out of guilt. And here's why. So,
okay, cool. Let's get into this.
Growing up in DC, you get to see a particular perspective of government and politics that people do not get to see other places. So, especially I was doing stuff. The high school that I went to is a very, very politically motivated high school. We in the history books, as far as walkouts, things like that, going all the way back to the 60s. Okay. So it was a big part of it. Our school newspaper was a big deal in that sense. So I liked that. I was a debate guy. I did that kind of shit. But being in DC, what you learn is that every 4 years, depending on a lot of people come in and a lot of people fucking leave. A lot of people come in and a lot of people leave. A lot of interns are there at Capitol Hill that work for a particular party or this, and then they leave. Oh, this got control of this. You get to see how the sausage is made if you're just around DC long enough. And you also get this kind of feeling that for a lot of these people, it's just a game. And you get into the gamemanship of it all.
It is, yeah.
And when you think about the gamemanship, that's why you have a lot of people that think Washington is a swamp. Because you have people that this affects people's lives, and you guys are treating it like a fucking game.
Oh, that's why I detested it for the longest time. You could tell. You could just even in conversations you overhear, you're like, you got to be fucking kidding me. Like,
dude, the amount of fucking emails I've seen just get drinking at fucking Hawk and Dove or fucking Elephant and Castle.
Yeah, Elephant and Castle, major spot. Yep.
Yeah. So I would see a lot of shit. Rahm Emanuel, that motherfucker was crazy. So there was a bunch of shit. It's like you get an idea of all these things that are kind of going on, kind of happening, and every once in a while you meet somebody that really meant what it is. They really, really meant it. They were there. I would tell you, majority of people are like that. They actually have a purpose. They want to do shit. To me, it was like, if I'm going to be a Washingtonian, and I do enjoy the gamemanship of it, I do. I'm not going to deny that. I like it. I like thinking political strategy and things like that. But people's lives are really involved. It's an important thing to do. So I want to be involved in a real way. So it was like, this is not just going to be a game for me.
Right.
Picking sides or whatever, because my life is also impacted by what they decide to do.
Oh,
so
totally.
Let's get real about it. So I do find it to be an important thing as far as civic duty. But you can have your civic duty in a lot of other things. Like, I think community volunteering is very, very important to do. I think donating money, if you have it. Like, I don't have money and I still donate money every
yeah.
I feel obligated to do so.
Let me ask you this, Kate, because we hear a lot of people. We're at the 90-minute mark, so we'll wrap it up after this. And forgive me, it's probably a dumbass question, but I know a lot of people that vote and just don't know shit about fuck, right? When it comes to all this stuff. Do you want those people voting even though they don't know anything?
So that's
because that could get reckless, right? Especially if you're in a certain state like DC. If I vote blue, it don't matter. Like, you know, and I did, just to be clear, but like, you know, like that's just because you say stuff. So I need to clear that up. But like, at the 90-minute mark, when we got 3
guilt's
people
working.
Yeah. Oh, come on. I voted blue this whole time. Listen, but it's intriguing to me because people say, hey, vote. And it's like, okay, but you don't know anything, right? So
without getting too partisan,
yeah,
everybody knows what the outcome of this particular election is.
Yeah.
So I have a story. I can read this real quick and it'll kind of sum it up, at least to some degree, and what it is I'm facing right now. Shit, where is it? Here we go. So this is the story that I read. Somebody posted online. This is from my husband works for a small manufacturing company, and here in southwestern PA, that means most employees are Trump voters. When the president of the company sat them down today to tell them that their annual Christmas bonus would not come this year because they now need to purchase at least a year's worth of products prior to January 21st due to the proposed tariffs, they did not understand. My husband said that the president had to explain what a tariff is and how it would directly hurt the company. They all thought that the foreign company paid the tariff. That is, you have large swaths of people that vote and do things that are against their own self-interest because they don't necessarily know any better.
They don't get it. Right. There's that.
It's complicated stuff. But in my opinion, I want to ask more of people. We all have supercomputers that we keep on us at all given points of time. It blows my mind, right? That I can look up anything I want to right here at any given point in time. But in a world with disinformation is big and prominent as it is, with a Gen Z that, like, I used to love these guys because they were kind of nihilistic, but now realizing like they don't teach media literacy anymore at all.
No,
it stopped being taught. So they have no idea to know what's in misinformation, disinformation compared to, or how to even source things properly. They have no idea. So like, I find it very important that people get knowledgeable, but I also know a vast majority of the electorate are just never going to get there. Yeah. So I understand it. I take it and I say that as someone who does understand it, the conversations I'm having right now is how do you get people the information they need to know to make the informed decision without sounding condescending, without sounding like an asshole, without sounding elitist? How can you get them to understand or accept the information if you have more to give? That's it. It's like there needs to be more communication and conversation to happen in real life about it.
No, it's a phenomenal question because it is one of those things where, you know, you've got someone that's uninformed. It's never a nice position to be in. I've been in that position before, for example, and I've had many wonderful people explain stuff to me, whether it be this, whether it be something else. And those are good teachers. But you have those that go, you don't know that? Oh my God. And then you immediately shut off. And as a matter of fact, depending on who you are, you go, what did you want? I'm going the other way. Like, that's insane.
And I will 100% agree. I will 100% even tell you, it is so much more prevalent on my side of the political aisle than it is on the other side of the political aisle. No doubt. Absolutely. The amount of college-educated people that feel as though they got to look down on people that don't necessarily have access to the same education, while at the same time thinking that they're so dumb.
That is so
it's like, what are
dumb
you doing?
To me. Where I'm like, you're college-educated, and you didn't think you thought it was a good idea to look down on him. That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard.
It's so stupid, especially if you're supposed to be progressive and a liberal. Where you're supposed to try to bring everybody up.
Country. It's like the whole idea. Let's be kind to each other. Like, let's work. Oh,
look, trust me, I get frustrated because I do think that there's a lot of willful ignorance. There's a lot of willful ignorance that does. Look, I'll be the first one to admit I get guilty every once in a while when somebody tells me that, like, I don't know the 3 branches of government. I'm like, you're 40 years old. The fuck? Like, how have you lived this long and not understand it?
To which I would go, okay, cool. I will go ahead. Like, like,
I'm working on it.
Yeah,
I'm working on that.
But anyway, that was the show. So we appreciate you guys sticking around and talking about a little bit of politics here, and Shady McCoy and Emmanuel Hacho. So we appreciate you guys. And we will see you guys. Let's see. Oh yeah. Okay. So here's the deal. For those that have stuck around, thank you. We are going to have our recap episode Monday, 6 a.m. as we always do. Then I think we're going to do, it's Veterans Day. I don't know. Monday. Okay. And then we're going to have our Wednesday night episode, maybe Thursday morning for the preview, because it's the Thursday night game against the Philadelphia Eagles. Huge one over there. And then we are going to have our recap Friday, 2 p.m. as we always do. So just wanted to, I guess it's a recap instead of a preview, but you get it. Okay. So that's the release schedule. So Monday, we're going to have the recap. Wednesday night, Thursday morning, we're going to have our preview. And then Friday, 2 p.m. will be a recap episode instead of a preview episode.
Or what you should do is click that little notification button so you just get immediate, and it'll be a nice little treat. Like, oh my God, Dish Divide is out. We got to share this shit. We got to watch it. We got to listen to it.
This is why K-Dot's the charismatic one. He just gets it. Just gets it. Yeah. So anyway, we will see you guys on Monday. So until then.
You fucking idiots don't know about a goddamn button. No, I'm joking.
There it is.
Sorry, we got to work on it.
In DC, we're just hoping that you listen.